of the military dictator Sani Abacha. We're still getting monies returned to us. Somebody said it's aluta continua. Looted money has been looted again. It is aluta continua. You're live on Midweek Politics, live on Mila 98.3 FM. I welcome you. Okay, the Nigerian Labour Congress is kicking out, and then a few days ago, I played you the insert. That's the voice of the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, talking about the fact that by the time the committee that the federal government has set up to review and harmonize the minimum wage gets into work, that the NLC may be demanding for 1 million naira, 600 naira to $1. Now, 1,573 naira was the last. I should start thinking of picking up unemployment in the civil service. Side forward, it's another Wednesday, and we're here to talk politics. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good afternoon, Ope. It's a good day to talk politics. It's a day a lot of Nigerians are celebrating love. It's a day to celebrate love. It's Valentine's Day, and I think Nigerians have found a way to celebrate love, no matter what happens. People are exchanging gifts already.
I saw flower on delivery bike today.
And I think a lot of delivery guys are so active and busy today. So it shows that people are delivering.
The audience is active.
The audience is active. So Nigerians are happy people. We are very, very happy. We always find a way to make. I think we are regarded as the happiest people on the planet Earth.
I mean, Fela sang something and smiling. He sang that for a reason.
We have a way of bottling up, get different lives. So it's a good outlook. Is not looking very good. The figures are very, very bad, and unfortunately, we are not getting enough commitment, from the government to address the problem. To be hearing from government now is that, look, this is what I'm doing, a clear roadmap to fixing the problem. But what we have is a situation where people are deflecting on the real issues. People are now looking to begin to blame people. To the extent now that we're having the same party to 1,500. Look, who says to 3 million barrels per day? So we have a deficit of about 440,000. All of these things, as we celebrate love, a lot of fears in my mind.
State governor, Governor June is actually going on in Yᴏᴜᴛ as we speak, and it was a very interesting election on the 11th of November. We've seen Kogi State, and Idir is also getting things done in November on Friday. We'll have 1 or 2 persons to join us from Benin City so it's not against part of the 16 years rules of the PDP. Now, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is picking holes in the policies and the legacies of Muhammadu Buhari if I win my election. Before I allow you to talk, I'm going to play you something. Adams Oshiomhole is in the Senate now, and it looks like his energy in the Senate has gone back to when he was a comrade. No, when he was a comrade. He speaks. How come the conversation is now, the last administration did this? A quick snip into. You also believe that our wealth as a nation is overrated. I'll be right back.
When I was in the Nigerian Labour Congress, if there is conflict between what I consider to be Nigerian national interest and a political party, or indeed national interest, I have also argued that all the political parties put together, they are not up to the subtotal of the Nigerian nation. So my first loyalty is to the Nigerian nation. And yes, the fact that we belong to APC, at a point, if you follow the bill, you're too busy to build in Abuja. Even before the last president left office, I lamented aloud, queried aloud, and denounced aloud what I saw as a reckless policy the president promised. And I said I dissociated myself from those policies. And I'm happy that I wasn't the only one. There were governors who felt so strong that they went to approach the court to deny some of those policies. It is the long term, some of the consequences of those policies that we're still grappling with now. I am on record as saying that those who say our currency will expire, not due to our own fault, confiscating our currency, but with the change of government, they will expire, and our currency will be valid. And this has come to pass. There is no denying this. Yes, it's our party platform. But like Tinubu also said, he was never a minister in that government, he was not an advisor in that government, he never took contract in that government, and then we cannot be held responsible for what the government did right or did wrong. But I don't think tonight you want to, I don't find any joy, because like I said to my colleagues on the Senate, I think of Abuja tournament. Let's think of what do we do differently to fix it. Because anything that has to do with overflogging what we did do right yesterday, I'm not sure how helpful it is. It's not exciting to me to discuss.
Is to bring normalcy and redecorate is most.
General elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come. From the executive to the judiciary, legislature, media, and the people, organized labor, and civil society organizations, issues that will continue to shape the future of our country needs continuous probing and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party, and let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded party that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Awolowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PRP of Wini? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true to their own.
ᴏᴜᴛᴜ and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies, and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us. We're just starting the show proper. This program comes up on airwaves every Wednesdays, 1 to 3 p.m. It's called Midweek Politics. We're streaming our programs live, by the way, so you can follow us on our social media platforms. On X, formerly Twitter, it's Mainland FM. On Instagram and YouTube is Mainland 98.3 FM. A post, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Mainland 98.3 FM. You can also drop your comments in case you're trying to call, and we can pick your calls. Okay, what you heard was the voice of a senator this year because of the governorship election in that state. I'm talking about Edo State. One of the chiefs from that kingdom is in the studio here. Mr. Matthew Okoda, good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start from Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Is one individual that had never been shy away from controversy. He seems to know how to spit himself, say his mind, and irrespective of how you feel about it. Even while he was, in charge of the Nigerian Labour Congress in the early 2000s, under the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, all of the nationwide protests and all of that, he's always been on the face of everybody. But he just talked about the fact that this administration should not be blamed for the fault of the last administration. What does that say to you about the typical mindset of a Nigerian politician and when they say political party ideology? Let's start from there.
Yeah, you see, we have a problem. We have a problem with Nigeria's democracy setup. We have a democracy of the individual, not democracy of the institution. That is why it will be easy for APC at the moment, in quote, to blame former President Buhari for the failures. But don't forget that we are supposed to be in party politics. So the question, according to you, and the question will arise from what Oshiomhole said: what is the role of the party in implementing the manifesto of the party? If we have manifestos by party, then by candidates put together, who owns that manifesto? Is it the party or the candidate? Was it Buhari's manifesto or
the APC manifesto?
Because we have a democracy of the individual, the last administration was Buhari and not APC. And this current administration is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and not APC. So it is very easy for Asiwaju Tinubu to blame Buhari for what he has done and not what the party has done. In other words, the candidates in the party, they rule the party rather than the party ruling the candidates. And that is an unfortunate situation. And above or beyond that, We also have a situation where in Nigerian democracy, the institutions don't matter, the individuals matter. For instance, would Buhari or Asiwaju, would they have won the election in other platforms if not APC? The answer is yes. Would APC have lost the elections without Buhari in that time, or without Asiwaju now? Yes. So you find out that the party is just a name under which it's just a platform under which the names appear.
Isn't that counter-democratic?
That's what I said. Institutions should determine the operations of the individuals. But in Nigeria, the individual determine the operations of the institutions. So we are in a democracy of individuals and not a democracy of institutions.
That's really bad, because I would always tell people, individuals would come and they would go, just like they say, soldier go, soldier come, the barracks will remain. But institutions.
Once I have always said, when you say someone is moving from one party to the other, why are you moving? You said they did not allow me. Who are those they? Is it the institution that does not allow you?
The individuals.
There are some other individuals that are more powerful than you. They have to behave like the hot water. When the kettle becomes too hot, the water evaporates. When, for instance, during the primaries of these current people, when it was like they were not going to allow Tinubu to run,
the conversation of the SDP was coming up. True.
You understand? So that is saying that he knew what he carried. He knew his ability, and not the party's ability. He would have taken his ability and his cronies to SDP. They would have won. The same thing happened to Peter Obi. He went to Labour, a Labour party that was unknown. So became democracy away from the individual. Will be where we are.
Okay, let's get straight up into it. One of the spokesperson of the presidency, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, came out to say that the wealth of Nigeria is overestimated. And I'm wondering, in the last 24 years, let's put it that way, of this stretch of democracy, I'm not sure there's been a single year where we've not had cases of corruption against political office holders. Billions stolen. So amount used to cut grass. So amount used for so. Every single time you open the pages of newspapers, you go through your news outlets, and everything you see, so person stole money, this person stole money, this person stole money. Maybe when I leave this place, I will go make my researches. I'm not sure there's any country in the world that is as blessed have it. Then in human capacity, we have it. But somebody will tell you that, the worst of us is ruling the best of us. That's because we are obviously a result of our political decisions. But when you heard this statement by Mr. Bayo Onanuga saying that, Nigeria's wealth is overrated, we're not as rich as we are, when people have also 30 million people and our budget is less than 30 trillion, we don't have money, we overrate what we think we have as a nation, we only pride in our numbers as a people. From an administration that came up with the hope mantra, how did that make you feel?
Well, there's nothing Bayo that would say at this time that will surprise me. I think in recent time he has decided to always do this. Yes, he's been busy, maybe doing his job, trying to defend the government and speak for the government. But recently he was making these statistics when we were talking about crimes and criminality in the country, and he said that, look, we can't be comparing figures because the rates of kidnapping in South Africa and some other countries is far worse than what we have in the country. So he was saying again that, look, we overestimated ourselves, that is the wealth we think we have, we don't have up to that. Well, it depends on his own definition of wealth, because again, if we're talking about wealth, I know Nigeria as blessed as Nigeria. So because again, you ask yourself, it's a country that has that manpower. We are talking about a very vibrant, active, youthful population, the most popular black nation in the world. We are talking about the countries that has crude oil, the 6th largest crude exporting country in the world. You are talking about a country that has 44 solid mineral resources spread in 500 different locations in the country. You understand? There's no state in the country that does not have at least one solid mineral. You are talking about a country that has arable land. feed for agriculture, all kinds of agriculture that you can think about. That's the kind of country you're talking about. You're even talking about a country with so much tourism potential, so much trade potentials, a very youthful, active, vibrant, intelligent, good to go, openly mobile population. So that's wealth in its own. What you should be talking about is that, look, we have leadership problem to making this wealth count. That's why people always ask, this crude oil that's supposed to be a blessing, is it a blessing to us? Really, I say it's a blessing, but a lot of times God will give you these things. He's not going to come here to come and help you make it count for you. He's not going to manage it for God. Is not going to come down to manage those things. Like I said, let's even check in Africa. How many countries in Africa has crude oil? How many countries in Africa?
Very few of us.
There's a few countries. You understand? So if you have crude oil, it's not only crude oil. You have crude oil. You have arable land. You have solid minerals. You have gold. You have this. You have that. Look, and even the weather is also good. Okay, how many natural disasters have we seen? What's the level of destruction that has come with some of the natural disasters? But first of all, we don't have that. So Mr. Pᴏɪᴛᴜ should understand that. Look, it depends on his own definition of wealth and how he sees wealth. That's number one. Number two, is this: if you say the country is not rich, that look, we are not as rich as we assume, a country that is not rich, look at the 2025 population budget. Before it starts sounding like a broken record. Look at the kinds of our population we are doing. We had a supplementary budget last year,
yes,
and there was a lot of query about those items in that budget. And that was a time where the country saying there's no money, we want a bankrupt economy, there's people should tighten their belt, blah blah blah. Look at 2024 population bill, sir, as signed into law now. A country that is not as wealthy as we think we are, has money to buy SUVs, is buying computers every year, renovating houses with billions of naira.
Look, capex.
If you aggregate all of the renovations, I'm not saying one or two now, because there are so many renovations captured in 2024 budget. If you put everything together, the figures, I know we are not to renovate houses across board from what I saw in the 2024 appropriation bill. We are not doing less than 50 billion in renovating buildings, because it's not just one building. There's renovation in Lagos, renovation in Abuja, renovation in this. Then we now go to building. A country that is not as rich as we think we are has appropriated about 36 billion naira for renovation of the National Assembly.
We're using 6 billion to build car parks.
So look,
6 billion naira.
It is still the same thing we are talking about, The politicians out there want us to believe that there's no money, the economy is bad. But look at the way they are taking care of themselves. And that was why I said it yesterday, that the only set of people that don't complain about the economy of Nigeria at this time are the politicians.
Who do they want to complain to?
They've taken care of themselves.
I voted you into office to fix things. Would you come back?
No. Wait. Again, what they now try to do is to gaslight the people into believing that, we are just impatient. It's a strategy. That Rome was not built in a day. We didn't promise Eldorado, blah blah blah. So at a stage you now begin to ask you, am I being impatient? Is it that I don't understand these things? So it will now make you feel bad for demanding that they do what they are promised to do. So the same analogy is what you get from them, or the same explanation.
SUVs, they are big.
That one will not cause inflation.
Will not cause inflation.
Okay, this reckless spending. I know it is not just the federal government. As they are doing it in Abuja, every state is doing it.
It's a culture.
It's a culture of the political class. Yes. So that reckless spending, that profligate spending. Look, if you say there's no money in the country, I say no. There is enough money in the country to take care of the needs, the real needs of the people. The money we don't have, and that's responding to Mr. Bayo directly now. The money we don't have in the country is the money to satisfy the greed, insatiable greed of the political class.
I'm trying to understand now. Some things on one of the social media space last week, and I had to DM him like, can you just send this stuff? When the budget was proposed, before it was increased,
we were
looking for it, we couldn't find it. So when it was eventually fixed up, I looked at and I see how much would be spent on this life. But I know what 6 billion
can do.
I know what 6 billion naira can do. And a new building from the scratch. And I'm wondering, these are individuals that promise to better the life of the people that voted them into office. We'll come back to that. And Mr. Matthew Okodoa, being the spokesperson of the presidency means that, by the way, Almost all of the former presidents in Bayelsa, except of course, I'm not sure. I've seen the vice president, Kazim Shettima. I also just saw WG **SOᴜ and of course Jonathan is the state, is the most leader in the state.
Side by side.
They sit side by side. They do all of that though. His leader cannot sit side by side. Mr. Matthew Okudwa, being the spokesperson of the presidency means that you launder the image of your principal. You project the image properly. But does political office detach you from humanity? So somebody tells you, I'm coming, let me push it a little bit. Somebody tells that, if you improve minimum fees, 80% of these SUVs are empty, just the driver in it. So they keep moving in those huge numbers. The convoy of a governor. I've been in Abuja one time like that the convoy of the then president of the Senate, that's Bukola Saraki, was so long that in my time we spent about 8 minutes. Does it detach you from humanity, and then you're only here to speak against the reality and ascribe the truth of your principle?
Let me take from your last statement, against the reality and in favor of your principle. Sorry if I may have to say this. If you go to my book, Broadcasting and Politics in Nigeria, Truth According to the Boss, what Boy Onanuga is saying is the truth according to the boss. So he's not saying his mind, he's saying the mind of the president. Now, when you talk about truth and reality, for a spokesperson of the president, there's no reality apart from the interest of the president. That is the reality. That's what he's paid to do. He's paid to defend the president, to defend the actions of the president, whether they are good or they are bad. But one thing we should tell Bayo Onanuga is that this magazine that says one thing we learn in history is that we fail to learn from history. We learn in history that men fail to learn from history. Those who were sworn in some 8 years ago now, they never felt that this day will come.
This Bukola Saraki right now, just somewhere there.
That is it. So,
and the focus is not on him.
Nobody's not on him. Who knows him then? So the question is, let Bayo Onanuga, whatever experience he had in the media,
he makes more noise. So
he make more intelligent noise. You understand? Bola can sell anything.
And you will consider buying.
You will buy it because when he sees red, you say this is red. When he says white, this is white. But combine it, give you green. But Bayo Onanuga is telling you this is what it
Black
is. Either you believe president or you don't believe Mr. President. So Nigerians are becoming wiser now. That's what Onanuga should understand. That a point Nigerians have reached that point that what they need now is not defense of government or defense of the president. Is what are we doing next? It's an appeal. If you're going to tell us, please hold on a little while. Let us know what you are doing to make us hold on a little while. Don't tell us the president is doing anything.
Or to make us believe we are impatient.
Don't tell us we are impatient. No. Tell us, we are cooking. In the next 2 minutes,
or the type of beans we are cooking.
So that's not what Nigerians are wiser now. So Bayo Onanuga should now go back to the archives, to his own personal history. Ascribe to the write-up that people follow you. It is that followership you had in the media that probably led President Shiraji to appoint you his spokesperson. But if you bastardize those things, if you wasted those your goodwill, to recover it will be hard.
So let me ask you before we leave this conversation: is our wealth truly overrated or overestimated?
No, just as White said, it's even underrated. Underrated in the sense that our wealth is only measured on oil. There are other minerals that have not been measured, that have not been stamped. If going by some government report that some of the insecurity activities we have are all because of minerals, gold,
mining.
It means that if government now focuses on those minings, our wealth will even be more than what we are looking at. But just that because we started oil become whether we have developed or not. Because we fail to develop it, that is why foreigners are developing for us using arms.
Our wealth is actually underrated, so we have enough. And I also think so too, because if you move around this country, if you've been privileged enough to travel and have land is a scarce commodity everywhere in the world right now. Mr. Van was a couple of months back, you were just telling us about Turkey, but there are countless. I mean, the level of ungoverned spaces in this country. In 2019, when I was finishing my masters, my project supervisor insisted that all of the pictures I must use, because I wrote on the operations of Nigerian military in the northeast. I focused on Maiduguri. He insisted that I have to travel to Borno to see for original pictures myself. So I had to travel by road to Borno State. We were driving at some point. I thought we were on the same spot for almost 3 hours
because
empty land.
No,
both sides of it was just empty and naked and green. And I'm wondering, like, is it that? And this is the situation whereby we're complaining of food shortage. We are at the risk of having ungoverned spaces, create empires in there, run their own government, hoist their own flag, exchange their own currency, and create a government within a government. And so Mr. Brian Onuga thinks our wealth is overrated. Maybe we need to think twice. And now let's talk about the issue of state creation. The last we heard of state creation was by the military. And 24 years down the line, a lot of people had come up with, and this is not about the Biafra agitation. This is about the Nigerian government state creation itself. They come to the southwest. People have talked about, Ijebu, Ogun State should be this, Ogun State should be that. Even Lagos have said, there should be a Eko State or Mila. There's been a lot of agitation for all of that. I've seen a lot of them, even in the north. People have said, Kano is so big with all of those local governments, with all of those House of Reps. Kano should be divided into 2. I've read a lot of write-ups in respect to that state creation. But we have 36 states. Mr. Matthew Kuda, you will start with this one. We have 36 state governor. We have a governor that is on governor in Abuja. What I mean by on governor is that he's not recognized as a governor because that's a seat of power. But that is 37 states.
Yeah.
And all of these states, according to what Side-Far would always say, they have enough resources to take care of themselves. And I will say it for a fact. They went crazy. And look at what the bandits are doing there. We read that bandits are actually guarding good illegal mining sites. Non-state actors are milking in a democratic state. Do we really need additional state, Mr. Matthew Okudra, right now? How much of a priority is that? I've seen a lot of misplaced priority conversation lately. The chief of staff of Mr. President thinks social media should be regulated, and I'm wondering, what has social media regulation got to do with the fact that people cannot feed, people cannot sleep with their eyes closed? Do you think state creation is also supposed to be part of our priorities right now?
I think it's lack of parameters of creating states and the parameters of surviving as a state. It is not the presence of minerals, solid or soft minerals. It is how to exploit. As small or as big as Zamfara is, even if you cut it into 2, the problem will continue on the other side. If you cut it into 2, the problem will continue.
In fact, we are going for 3.
3 in Lagos.
Mainland state, midland state, and island state. We are probably part of the island.
What of Badagry?
That would be mainland. The midland
will be here. Where we are.
Okay. So as it is.
So we have like 4 governors with the way we have already.
Lagos has the economy.
As it is.
It's not about land size, it's about the economy of Lagos.
Yes, as it is, most people calling for creation of state now actually, just as you said, they are looking at the land size. You talk about your experience traveling to Maiduguri.
Empty land.
I will tell you my own experience. So traveling to Maiduguri, that was some 30 years ago. We got to a point in the middle of the forest. We only got to a junction. We don't know where to this country. We had to call the Fulani people, and then there was no.
Yeah.
We just managed to speak the kind of Hausa we are speaking, but because we measured the town, and then Adamawa, Yola.
Is that Taraba? I think Gola, Gola State.
We didn't know that was going to be any country. So when people are looking, any city, people are looking at that massive forest,
land,
they think you can create state from there. That's not how states are created. How valuable are they? For me, actually, I think we should merge some states right away. Ekiti and Ondo State should be one.
They used to be one.
They should be one. Edo Delta should be one. For me, Benue and Plateau should be one. They should return to where they were. They will have solid states. But then, even you have 72 states now, plus Abuja, 2 Abujas now, that would be whatever.
78. We are still back here.
Who will manage those states? Nobody will manage them. Because the ones we have are not managed. They are not big enough. travel from Lagos to Ondo State, you cross Ogun State
without knowing
in 30 minutes.
you literally step from Osun into Ondo by strolling.
Exactly.
You literally stroll. Look at part of Lagos. If you go to Agbado Crossing, if you go to all those places, you
have. How developed are these? When were they created? How has whoever has governed them? Probably about 6-7 governors so far since somewhere. Yes. So how far have they been able to develop these states? I think we should lay emphasis on development rather than bastardizing the number.
Okay. The reps. Following up, the bill states and Honorable Lūwọlé is also saying that the state should include Ijebu states. When created, would include Ijebu East, Ijebu Northeast, Ijebu Ode, Ikenne, Odogbolu, Waterside, Remo North, Shagamu local government. And the proposed capital city of Ijebu state is Ijebu Ode. Why Okeogun Ijebu?
And they will fight and will not agree.
The funny part of this conversation is this. Lawmaking is a huge integral part of every government. Beyond the nomenclature of the three arms of government, the executive, the judiciary. If laws are not made, there's nothing the executive wants to execute.
Yeah.
The laws being made is what the executive will execute. It's simple as that. So not like putting them in order of importance, but I would tell you for a fact that even the legislative arm of government is supposed to be, in fact, by the virtue of their oversight function, checks and balances, they're supposed to be superior to the executive. If you look at what democracy is about,
they should be the boss
of all of them. So when you have individuals that are saddled with the responsibility of making laws to better, maybe Honorable Lūwọlé feels creating more states will better the lives of the people of Ijebu.
Did he mention Edo State?
No, he did not do that.
Yes. From
so they will do merger and acquisition.
For me, I think that again, these are some of the things you have our politicians talk about, and you begin to wonder what's happening to them. We have states that are currently not viable, very states that are just states because they were created. They just partly exist. I always tell people I served in Taraba State, and that state should not be a state. Yes, they have the land mass, but the economy of that state does not qualify to be a state
at all.
At least by the way they run the state since it was created. I'm not saying they cannot.
If anything stop them from receiving federal allocation,
they are in trouble.
Nothing else.
Okay, let us ask ourselves. We have 36 states and the FCT. How many states in the country can survive 4 months, even 2 months, without federal allocation?
Maybe Lagos.
Only Lagos.
So
have problem.
And that's the problem. So instead of us even talking about creating more states, we should be talking about making the states we have now currently viable. We should be talking about bringing governance closer to the people and looking at how to activate our local governments. I keep saying it now, we don't have local governments now. Don't be deceived. It will tell you that we have federal, we have state, we have local. We don't have local government now. What we have is a department of the state functioning as local government. In reality, what is supposed to be a local government structure, their powers, their functions have all been taken away. If you look at the constitution, what the local government are supposed to be doing, all of those things have been captured at the state level, to the extent that even the funds that are supposed to get to them have also been captured. We were here now when the local government chairman in Ogun State said, look, our allocation has not been coming, please help us ask the governor. That man has been suspended though. And then one other local government chairman go and prostrate so in reality we don't have local government. You don't have local, so instead of us looking at those critical facts, so when we talk about restructuring, those are the things we should be talking about. A situation where we can properly devolve power to the federating units, allow the local government to function independently of the state government, to the extent that look, you stay in Alimosho local government as the local government chairman, your funds come to you, you stay with the people of Alimosho sit down with you, and you create Eldorado there in Alimosho.
You do your budget.
You don't even bother with Ikeja. Your own, because it's about the people. You are, look, and you know the good thing about local government, you are closer, you can't run in the way. But you know what we have in Nigeria now? Local government chairman. They don't even Abuja. Look, Zulum in Borno State just passed a law. I think it's even a regulation. I can't call it a law or an executive order. He has said that local governments should now be doing, local government chairmen should be clocking in.
Yes, and their local government secretary.
I know he doesn't have the power.
Yes.
But that's to tell you that what I said is a department of the state government. For a governor to think in his mind that look,
Department of Governor's office.
it is just a clocking when they are leaving the clock out. So where is the independence of local government? But I understand what he's saying.
Because they were not voted, they were selected.
They were said
Even if there's a kind of quasi-elections, they are not.
Since we got into this state independent electoral commission arrangement, we've messed up
the structure.
I knew.
SEC is one of the most bastardized.
Look, you can't explain. If you are saying INEC is a problem, go and check what is happening with SEC. It is that's why look, if Lagos, as it is now, L chairman and APC, if tomorrow SDP wins Lagos, trust me, with the SEC thing, all chairman with the SDP was, they're not ready for the real conversation. And I'm like, where is this idea of creating more states coming from? I think the only justification we have now, Northwest Avenue 6, you have the North Central Avenue 6. Why our leaders are so unapproving of restructuring the country, and the fact that they want all the powers to themselves.
They want to have everything to themselves.
You know, people say apparently that the most powerful president in the world is the president of Nigeria. You know what he controls? Everything stops at his desk. That was why the 36 governors in December, where were they?
In Lagos. Even the Plateau State that
was in Lagos.
It was in Bodilon.
When they win the election, where did they run to?
Abuja.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. It should tell you something. These are states that should conduct their election without even remembering that there's a president somewhere.
Because the person has no focus.
But they know that look, it can make or mar them when it comes to elections.
Once he raises your hand on the campaign,
his body language. Look, the security operatives in the states are looking at the body language of the president
to know what
they should do during elections. The INEC people who are going to conduct election are looking at the body language of the president. That is why today we have a situation where a governor is getting presidential directives and tongue lashing from the president. He's there sitting down there. So even the deputy governor elect did not even you know what it means for a governor to come and say, sit down, we are giving you this, go back to your state and implement it, and that is true federalism. And
the deputy governor was told to sign a resignation letter
without date,
on date
in advance,
and it was a presidential directive.
Okay, we stretched. It's almost 1 hour on the show, and then in case you're just tuning in and you're wondering, who are these people? What station is this? We're live on Miller 98.3 FM, and we're just celebrating today. It's Vows Day, it's Ash Wednesday. We're celebrating every of our Christian brothers, families, loved ones all around the world. We're saying, with the season of the Lent, bring peace, restoration, and cleansing around the world, and of course our own Nigeria. For the lovers also, we're also celebrating love. It's Vows Day, but we decided to come here and have a conversation with you on Midweek Politics. We get to do this every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Said Fuad, myself, we have Matthew Kudia joining us on the show today, and then we've looked at the conversation around whether Nigeria's wealth is underestimated or overestimated according to the spokesperson of Mr. President, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. We've also looked at the creation of state. Is that the priority right now? Have we managed the problem we have with us rather than looking for more problems? Because once the creation of state conversation comes in, election will come in those places. Allocation of funds will go to those places. When we had off-cycle election in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi on the 11th of November, do you know how many billions of naira were marked for that election in the supplementary budget? I mean, if we say our wealth is underestimated and we're still pushing for creation of more states, if Ogun State alone or South is asking for 3, and the South is also coming with their own,
they'll come with 5.
Even the people in the North would also say, hey, Kano is big. I remember the first time I ever got into Kano, somebody was supposed to pick me up at the park, and so when I got to Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ is the first local government if you come in over Bauchi, and I'd already spent like 3 hours inside Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ. I've not got into the municipal, so I called the contact. I said, I'm in Kano. The person said, where are you? I said, I'm in Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ. I said, sir, you have not got into Kano. You're just knocking the door.
Let's look at here on sides. And this is the argument for people in the south, and for somebody like ᴜᴜᴛᴜ or people in the Niger Delta. What is the difference between an empty land and then water that is also empty without people on it? So if you argue that you want more state because you have land that is empty, virtually empty.
But the people that have water too.
Because it's the same thing now. If the land is empty, nothing is happening on it. You don't have the population. Yes, I could look at the state. You have the water to eat, the water bodies to eat.
The Yegaviti will be a council.
You don't understand what I'm saying.
I do.
Because and that's why we even say that some of the figures we see from a northern part.
Some of those numbers are questionable.
Questionable. Yes, the land mass is what they are using, but there's no difference when you have a land mass as a community.
Somebody told me, according to the figures of the last head count we had 19 years ago, that Kano is more populous than Lagos.
And you ask yourself, how? Where? I'm not talking about land mass. We don't have it, but we have the water bodies too. So you look at Bayelsa can claim that they want 4 more states because they have the waters.
I'm sure maybe a lot of people don't understand what we're saying. Maybe you go to Beggar Bridge one day and stand on that bridge and you see the influx of people that comes into Lagos. Beggar is even this way Beggar is even more central. Also, these either ways you can go to Beggar, go and see number of trucks that load people. Go to Kara, go and see number of people that are coming into Lagos every single day, unregistered, uncaptured, and they just come into Lagos because. I know a lot of people. Somebody called on the show 2 weeks ago, situation, and said it was exactly a year he came to Lagos that bandits sent them out of their farms and they had nowhere to go to Lagos. And he came to Lagos.
You keep seeing the trucks now. Trucks loading people with their bikes, you know. It's a daily thing, hourly thing. Some of them go straight, some of them they pass down that bridge going to Ogba.
And once they enter,
I know a lot of them, it's either they are going to Ijora or Agege.
Either ways.
And they come in every day.
And that's it. Okay, we need to take a quick break. We need to get something to the system. Well, water, don't get it twisted. It's been an engaging conversation on the show, and please, I want to appeal to the people that are calling. We pick calls today. I can give you my word. We pick calls today, but just let us close up the conversation. When we come back, I will look at the IMF's conversation in respect to advising Nigeria to remove more subsidy. Then the NLC is kicking and say, if you try this, 14 days ultimatum is counting, we're going to shut the country down. Hey, I would still look for the inserts for Comrade Joe Ajay. We're talking about the minimum wage conversation. I'll be right back. This is
to bring normalcy and redecorate is most.
The general elections in 2023 have created conversations and consequences that will live with us for years to come. From the executive to the judiciary, legislature, media, and the people, organized labor, and civil society organizations, issues that will continue to shape the future of our country needs continuous probing and interrogation.
I see the greater objective for the party, and let me tell you, I've told the PDP in some locations that gentlemen, be careful. Better men have founded party that have gone into oblivion. Where's the party of Owowo? Where's the party of Azikwe? Where's PIP of Mimi? Political parties must be nurtured, they must be reinvented, they must be true to their own.
ᴏᴜᴜ and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM for thought-provoking conversations, voices from the top, engaging interviews, in-depth analysis on all matters around politics, policies, and governance. Midweek Politics on Mainland 98.3 FM, bringing the right perspectives to everything politics.
Nigerians and Nigerian workers need evidence of the commitment of the Nigerian leaders to ensuring their safety, their security, their progress, and eventually their liberty. It is only the proof of this that can reconnect the masses and workers with the government. In our celebration this year, we seek to re-establish the neutrality. That's the principle of negotiation. You don't put the partner, you don't ask him to negotiate under gunpoint.
What are the prayers of the NLC?
The prayers of NLC is that we go back to status quo, negotiate,
think of alternatives and all the effects and how to manage the effects this action is going to have on the people. If it is an action that must take off.
Does it mean restoration of subsidy?
Well, the subsidy provision has been made up to the end of June. And before then, conscious
comes crashing down. What'd you have for breakfast? We are the sound of Lagos. This is Mainland 98.3 FM.
You didn't see that coming,
You're listening to the soft sounds of 98.3 Mainland FM. Easy listening wherever, whenever.
I want you to know that I love you so.
So babes, don't you think the radio is so boring these days?
Well, it depends on what you need. I just discovered a new sound. Yes, I am totally hooked to 98.3 Mainland FM. That sound slaps and it makes so much sense. I vibe, I learn, and I definitely enjoy the groove.
The sound of Lagos.
This 1 million naira may be relevant if the value of the Nigeria continues to depreciate. And we need to, if the inflation continues to depreciate, if it is not checked. Because the demand, of labor is equally dependent on what is happening in the society. You remember that by the time we are contemplating 200,000, the exchange rate was at about 800, 900. As we talk today, the exchange rate is about 1,400 or even more. Now, those are the issues that determine the demand, and it is equally affecting the cost of living. And we have always said it that our demand will be based on cost of living index. You agree with me that today, even a bag of rice is going for about 60,000-70,000 naira or more. A bag of even corn, locally produced corn, is about 56 or more. On and on, food stuff is getting out of reach. Now, are we going to get a minimum wage that will not, be enough for transportation even for 1 week? We have to factor in all these issues. And the old minimum wage will be expiring by April. And ordinarily, the federal government ought to have set up the committee, 6 months before that time, so that negotiation would have commenced. But up to now, the federal government didn't do it until they inaugurated the committee, and the committee has not sat. So it applies we are going to work within 1 month or 2 to agree on a figure. And I doubt how those ones are going, especially when you look at the people that the federal government assembled, as members of the committee. They looked at some of the governors that are not paying even the existing minimum wage. And even they have a minister of budget, who didn't implement his minimum wage as a governor. Now, if you have these people in the government team, on the issue of minimum wage, some of us are not seeing a bright future on the work of this new minimum wage committee.
Okay, welcome back. We started this conversation around 1 o'clock, and it will take us through 3 p.m. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock, so we'll just have a quick conversation, then we'll allow you to join in. You can also go on our social media platforms and drop your messages. We read them on Instagram and YouTube. It's Mainland98.3. Set your notification and follow us so that you can get a regular update. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Mainland98.3 PDF. You can also see us live in the studio and also drop your comments. And of course, 0913-600-0410. That is the line to call. Well, I decided to play you that. That was the voice of Tᴜɪ̀ᴛᴛᴇʀ, the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, talking about the minimum wage. And he brought something towards the end of that conversation where he said the Minister of Budget could not even implement minimum wage in his state. Well, the Minister of State for Defense was the former governor of Zamfara State, and then for 4 years while he was there as the governor of the state, we knew what the state actually went through. So maybe at some point on maybe next week or thereabout, we'll look at the appointment, especially the cabinet members of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu themselves. I mean, if you cannot administer your states where you were voted into office, where you are supposed to respect the mandate, not the mandate as it was, the constitutional right of the people that trusted you, and you couldn't deliver for them, how would you deliver when you are appointed? That's someone that could wake up and fire you the next day. I will come into that, but let me bring Mr. Tᴜɪ̀ᴛᴜ into this conversation. Wဃ is talking about the minimum wage conversation must reflect the reality on ground, and he said the 200,000 is no longer workable, that they cannot negotiate minimum wage that will not cover cost of transport in a week. So the conversation around 1 million naira came up. 1 million naira in Nigeria now is about maybe now $10 or thereabouts, or now $20 or thereabouts. Mr. Tᴜɪ̀ᴛᴜ, if Bayo Onanuga is saying our wealth is underestimated, and the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress says, hey, the minimum wage should go around 1 million naira, are we set for a showdown between the organized labor and the government?
The economy itself is already at a showdown, because the reality on ground, it makes people to be angry. Workers are angry, so the labor people are angry, the pensioners are angry. This any salary in and now is angry. From the labor point of view, 200,000, that is, ask those who are earning 200,000 now. Probably before the current downturn, they own a car. I mean, at 200,000 a month, they could have a car as at that time. But now they cannot fuel it. So they have to go by public transport, and it's not easy for them. It doesn't take them 2 weeks at most, depending on where you are. In Lagos, I'm not sure that one can take you 2 weeks. Now, will 1 million be too much or too small? It depends on how you are looking at it. What Ajero is just saying, he is putting a figure at it. But realistically, let us negotiate to a point that we will say, okay, let's manage this. Look at it this way. Just as what I said earlier, tightening your belt is only for outside.
For the people that wear belts. If you wear kaftan, you can't wear belts.
Okay, now all our politicians they wear kaftan.
Yes, so they don't wear belts.
They don't have belts.
There's no belt to tighten.
With 160 million worth SUV times how many legislators do we have?
We have 109 and 109.
That means that
the senators
can really afford 1 million
as minimum wage.
A worker, yes, as minimum wage. Car park 6 billion. This one is 6 billion.
Renovation of the house complex 36 billion.
Has 15 billion. So all those ones will not cause inflation. So in other words, if this is actually true, Nigeria can afford 1 million naira, except that the government doesn't pay for the private sector workers. The pensioners, will they be able to earn as much? Otherwise, with the anger in the country as at this moment, somebody will ask for 1.5 million per month.
Now, let me come to you, Tᴜɪ̀ᴛᴜ. Aside forward. If we look at where we are as a people, in terms of, allocations, monies being stolen, recovered, looted funds being recovered, looter continua, this one is this one is that. How much do you think? When you are negotiating, you keep your options open. If you want 10, you can negotiate for 7. If you want 5, you can get 3. That means if Wဃ is saying 1 million is the target, 200,000 is the benchmark, that means you can't go lower than 200,000. Rather, to appease the Nigerian people, because whether we like it or not, you may say, oh, I'm not a civil servant, I will not benefit from it, but some way somehow you have families that are civil servants.
It will go around.
It will go around. I mean, maybe a civil servant that is collecting 30K that is not comfortable, the moment they upgrade their own, at least there's a little pressure off you that are supporting that family, whatever it is. So one way or the other, it will go around. Probably more money is if you sell, building materials, civil servant can complete their houses, can do this, can do that. One way or the other, how much do you think would be enough for Nigerian workers to say, yes, we can move and make progress from here?
Well, it's difficult to answer that question of what will be enough, really, because the reality of every Nigeria is different, and workers are also have different levels. For low-income earners within the workforce, the reality is different from those in the middle class of the workforce and those at the high end of the workforce. So we are talking about minimum wage. I think we have also always been talking about the idea of a living wage. We are talking about a minimum wage, and I know that Aģero knows that, look, it can't be 1 million as minimum wage. Again, I think there's just a bit of sarcasm in that, and the sarcasm is to reflect the fact that, look, the government should not come to the negotiation table with the excuse of there's no money. So it's just a way of telling them that, look, don't come, and the whole story of there's no money, don't come with it, because
you are not exhibited in
you have not shown or exhibited any sign that there's no money. So the idea of 1 million is just to put them on notice that, look, we are not going to come here to demand for peanuts. We are coming here for the real deal. Nigerians know that there's money because of the way you guys have been behaving. So I understand that it's just a way of sending a subtle message to them not to come on the negotiation table with the excuse of no money. Now, I'm sure these negotiations are going to be very tough, Okoyemi, and I'll tell you why it will be very, very tough. The indices are there that, look, it's not going to get better anytime soon. I'm sorry that this is sounding a bit alarmist. The economic outlook is not looking as if it's going to be resolved anytime soon. So I'm sure the negotiation of labor will be very futuristic, because if you agree on this figure now, you can't come to the negotiation table in the 6 months to want to
negotiate. So they want to open the conversation.
So they want to look at a minimum wage that would give them that
for the next maybe 1 year,
1 or 2 years. So if anything goes bad, at least you are still able to sustain yourself.
That is 1 million. But if you negotiate 500,000 now, aside from
I know they can't even. You see, 200,000 will be difficult with this government. I'm sorry. Even 200,000 will be difficult.
What's the point? What's the committee for?
No, that's what I'm saying. That it will be interesting to see what the committee is going to come up with. I'm open. I'm waiting. I'm anxious really to see the committee sit and come up with an agreement. So I think that it will be very tough to come to a figure. Something has to happen eventually, but
tough. Come to a figure outside the committee.
Outside the committee. That's number one. Number two is the trust deficit. Okay. If you are a member of organized labor now, with the level of trust deficit we have, you're going to go into that negotiation not believing anything government will be telling you.
Then let's just come.
You understand? Because again, that's why it was a 14 days ultimatum. That look, there was an agreement we signed in October. There was I think a 2 weeks notice to go on strike, and then the government quickly called them to a meeting and then came up with that, I think 16-point agenda or agreement with them to stop the strike, which they did. And I remember at that time, a lot of Nigerians bashed organized labor, the leaders. That that's what we always do. So people are less that they are collected money. That you now waste people's homes that they will be strike, and then the government calls you to a meeting.
But there's actually this belief that the labor lost the momentum.
At that time, yes, the goodwill of the people.
They lost the momentum.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have allowed that increase in fuel price and whatever to take place before. I mean, wait till after negotiation. By the time we had a month or so before the government came in, the government had settled the matter. That's why people believe that labor had been compromised. Because they lost that momentum.
So okay, what we're saying is that, look, if you since October you had some gentleman agreements with the government, and they have not been able to implement any of those agreements.
You are talking of October 2023.
Yes.
The agreements that have been made since 13 years ago. Administration of Obasanjo.
So what we are saying is that, look, if that has happened, how did you go into a negotiation now?
So if
you look at what WH is saying, he said that, look, even the guys in the committee as governors, are people who don't even pay minimum wage in their states. So how do you bring people who are not even committed to 30,000 naira minimum wage? So what are they with them?
They have ready-made excuse
not to pay. So again, you see that if you look at the body language of labor leaders now, they are not even enthusiastic to go into that meeting. Because they know what they will get. If we say, oh, do 35,000 wage award for 6 months,
and it's a problem.
We say, okay, do 20,000 handouts to people. It's a problem. We say, look, come up with a committee where the labor leaders will jointly inspect what is happening at Port Harcourt refinery. It's a problem. CNG buses, problem. So they're like, okay, how do we negotiate? I'm sure that's within their minds. And then the last one, which you mentioned, when we return to the show, was the issue of IMF. Was this issue of IMF? They have started again at World Bank. And I'm hoping that the government will read the room and be very, very careful to swallow this pill that IMF is recommending to them. Because you have some pill you swallow to try to cure an ailment.
It will finish you.
It will cause more trouble. That you now discover that what was supposed to just be a headache will now require serious surgery if the person does not die. So I hope that the government will look at this recommendation from and they have always done it. They started with structural adjustment program. These are people who are going to give recommendations that they cannot even give to their own people, or will give to their own people, not understanding that we have our own peculiarities. I said it when we were talking about removal of subsidy on fuel. That look, the easiest thing to subsidize, if you remove subsidy, was that if we agree that it's a subsidy, was to subsidize public transport. But if you go to the countries where the IMF are and their people, they have what you call an organized public transportation system, where 80% of their people use. We don't have the same thing in their country. When you get to their country, you have a functional BRT system, bus rapid transit system. You have a functional tram system. You have a functional rail system, all financed and run well structured. And so it's easy for government to say, okay, look, we're going to cost public transport by half to help the poor. These are people who also have functional public health institutions, health facilities there. A lot of them, these things are heavily subsidized in those countries for their people. Education is also structured. Look, when I got to Turkey, we visited some of their public universities, sir. And these universities have better structure, better facilities than even some of our private universities. And when we probed into what people pay to attend a public university in a country like Turkey, it's as good as you are not paying at all. Because I look at it, even to a foreign student, you see that what you are paying is as good as. So when people come up with this argument, so you can't fund this, you can't fund that. I've seen people come up, you can't fund this, you can't spend 10,000. Even in the US that they talk about higher institutions being very expensive, there are ways of taking care of the people that we don't do. So it's a different reality. Is the reality of the people in the US is the same reality? The things they benefit before you know. What of primary school and secondary school in the US? What do they pay? Before you now talk about tertiary education. And then the student loan thing you have in the US, what are the modalities? What are the criteria? A lot of them, they have a lot of scholarships, funding, a lot of things happen that we don't have here.
No graduates have not gotten jobs. No stock of students that are working and earning.
I just think the government has to be very careful about some of these recommendations from these new colonial imperialist institutions.
But now, see, I want us to open the phone lines. I want us to pick calls. But again, we can call them new colonialist, imperialist, whatever English you want to use to call them. The moment you bring plates to me to beg for food,
they decide your life.
Sovereignty. You have lost your sovereignty. Whatever condition we give, have we not had loans in this country under the former Minister of Transport, Tᴜɪᴛᴛᴇʀ M𝗆ɪᴜ, where they were talking about the fact that some sovereignty of some Nigerian entities are going to be. You go into loans. Nobody knows the conditions of this loan. You just bring these monies and then you share it in the name of NSIPs, and you do conditional cash transfer. The poorest of the poor, you borrow loans to feed. It's just like going to the bank to collect loan to eat. You collect loans to build institutions that will pay back those loans. That's the structure. So it is easy for us to say they are neo-colonialists. They were there on their own. You carry plate to go and beg for food. So if I'm borrowing you money because I don't want you to come back, or I want you to always come back, I will have something to keep you in check. It's simple. Some institutions will borrow you money. They'll say that we're not going to release it. We'll come and execute those projects by ourselves in your country. That's why they said there are police stations in this country that attend to Chinese people alone. In this country. Let's talk to the people. 0913-600-0410. I knew the show was going to take this dimension the more we check the outline of the stories today. Talk to us 0913-600-0410. You also drop your comments on Facebook, facebook.com/Mainland98.3 FM. It's Midweek Politics. Let's talk. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome, Mufama.
Yes, thank you. You know, I told Sandra, that's why the official.
Good afternoon, Mufama.
Yeah, we will not be tired by God's grace.
Amen.
Do you know, I told Sandra last we didn't have a leader truly. Most of the leader we had is like when we are washing the food, they say if somebody just walk up us, we don't have we saw it that much. You know, there is a leader we have now. Like the speaker for the person, the Minister of Information for the president. You know, whatever any comment you make, I will not blame. This added to you where I say that Taba force you, only my city, so my danger. I will not blame any of them. The only person I will blame, whatever any difficulty you are facing now, I know also is 100% the fault of, because if the nation are good in normal way, there are people vote their mind and the votes are being counted instead without no violence, then we will now know who to throw fingers to, because whatever analysis we are giving now, when we fight for us, and people are waiting for 4 years to come, the more we wait for 4 years, the more also they go ahead of us. So looking at it, this government, they have nothing in their self at all. Whatever anything they borrow, the poverty in the land is too much, and they are hearing them, they are blaming Buhari. And this one the part of the Buhari, so God will help us.
Thank you very much, Ufoma. I hope God will help us, but of course there are people that will saddle with that responsibility of helping us and fixing things around here. There's the God factor, but there's also accountability and responsibility. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome to Midweek Politics. Good to have you join us on the show today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ford.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, sir. My name is Ola. Calling from the Koto.
You're welcome.
We should not complain. We have a leader. We should wait. Maybe we should wait. Let God come and help us, because we know the normal thing to do. We don't do it, but we should wait to let God come and help us, because as this country is going now, let's wait till God come and help us. That's my own opinion. Thank you, sir. I think good, sir.
Okay, I want to believe that your opinion is laced with every aura of sarcasm, but it's okay. 0913-600-0410. Talk to us. I'm also seeing messages on our social media platforms, but let's speak more calls. We'll go on Facebook very soon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Malam Salah.
Okay, Malam Salah, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, Malam Salah.
Good afternoon. Hello. Let me start like this. Therefore, you know, I have been saying this and I've been listening to it, but I have never made a comment. Let me comment on it today. We have been campaigning for structuring whatever. You know why this country cannot be restructured? The agitation of restructuring, you understand, is targeting on a particular section of the country. Let me tell you something. There is no in the northern part of Nigeria. We are not afraid of restructuring of the country in any form. Attitude, in any form. Now let us be very, very sincere to ourselves. In 1999, because I heard you say that you start 1994, that means that you know more about government very well. unanimously always voted over. It was northern part of Nigeria that unanimously agreed and accepted and voted for him, and he successfully became a president of this country. Immediately he became a president. The same order from the Southwest here now campaigning, including the rally the senior lawyer that came about, telling him that we should also restructure the country. If they want the country to be structured, why did they reject it in the first place? The same thing to this president. This president is from Southwest, and the Southwest will not take him. Whether we like it or not, so what he got from Southwest is more than 20%. Yes, but still, 2-3 days ago, I had a fellow made a statement that they have not regretted the supporting for Tinubu. And it's not true. It's very open, whatever. It's open and you're not supporting a particular candidate. That's it. For structuring. Yeah, it cannot work. Let me give you a clear example, sir. Please give me time. Okay?
You know, we have other people on the line.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much. 09136000410. If there's one particular conversation I've always tried to avoid, like a banana peel, is this issue of restructuring, because each time the restructuring thing comes up, every region feels like it's their target.
And the funny thing is that restructuring would engender development in all regions.
It does. That's what you think. Some people even think relocating some units in the central bank is here to underdevelop your own region.
This is what our politicians do. You know.
Let me quickly pick this call side for. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Olayola.
Mr. Olayola, you're welcome.
Yeah. You see, I always want to talk about small topic concerning the local government. Look at it now. The local government in 1976, we Obasanjo want to reform the local government. You talk about the population of 15,000 to 28,000 that the local government must have. And that's what gave birth to the time of Tinubu in Lagos that he introduced LCD.